Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So I am not in LA right now. I'm actually in Texas at my parents' house, and I fully planned on filming this video before I left, but I wanted to give you guys the best decor dilemma help that I possibly could. I feel like no matter how many room makeovers I post or decor tips or tricks that I share, nothing's quite the same as helping you with your specific problems or your specific space. So I had you guys send in your decor dilemmas over on Instagram. And of course, if you have specific decor dilemmas that you want to share or you want help with, definitely leave a comment below. I'm going to be solving decor dilemmas the way that I would solve them. Of course, there are many different ways. I felt like for this first episode, we would kind of start a little more broad, start kind of at the beginning, and then work our way down with more specific decor problems as they came about. And if you're not already subscribed to my channel, definitely hit the subscribe button and the little bell notification so you never miss a new episode in the Solving Decor Dilemmas or any of my other videos that I post every Sunday on my channel. So let's get started. The first question that I get a lot, and a dilemma that I feel like a lot of you guys encounter, is where to start with a room makeover, where to start with your home makeover, what's the first thing that you do? So this is obviously going to change whether you're walking into a completely empty space or you also have furniture that you're going to be incorporating from your last home or things that you've already purchased. First thing that I do when I go into a room that I'm going to redo is to take pictures. I take a picture from each angle, so of each wall, stand back from the wall, get as much of each of the part of the rooms in the picture as possible so that you can refer back to them when you're not actually standing in the room. After I have the pictures on my phone or I even print them out, I'll actually go through and measure each wall so I know exactly the size of the space that I'm working with and also any specific details that I'm going to need to touch on. So for example, the latest bathroom makeover that I did, there were specific things in this bathroom that I was replacing. So I needed to know how much space I needed for those items. For instance, the mirror. So I couldn't change the position of the vanity light and obviously was not removing the granite. We weren't doing major renovation. So I had to know what the distance was between the bottom of the vanity light and the top of the granite, so I knew what size mirror to buy. We were also replacing the cabinet doors because there was some damage. I needed to measure that. You want to have all of your pictures and all of your measurements together so you know exactly what you're working with. Next, I like to make a checklist of exactly what I think at this stage I'm going to need in terms of decor or fixtures. I also take into consideration the function of the room and what functionally I'll need. Like I just kind of brain dump all of the things that I think I'm going to need at this stage, so I have it as a starting point. So now that I have pictures of the space, measurements, and I know what I need, it's time to gather inspiration. Inspiration is a huge part in every beginning process. It's something that I refer back to all the time to make sure that what's actually happening is actually what I intended to happen. Sometimes I like things that I see in a store and I can quickly like divert and be like, oh, this would be so pretty, but it's completely different than my inspiration. So inspiration helps to ground you and keep you on track visually so that you make sure that you're buying things that are actually going to go well together. And I don't just grab the pictures, I also point out what specifically I like about those images. So that's really helpful. Sometimes I'll have an inspiration picture, but I'll only like the light. I won't like the overall vibe of it. I'll only like the light. So I call those specific things out on paper visually so that I don't have to rethink about what I meant or what I liked. Once you find inspiration pictures you like, you also want to consider other rooms in your home that you've already decorated. So you want to tie inspirations from those rooms. Like for instance, like in this bathroom, we were going for a very kind of modern farmhouse / bohemian kind of look because that was the inspiration and the style that was carried throughout their house. So once you have all of that stuff, I actually like to print it and have it, or I put it on my iPad so that when I'm shopping, I'm out doing something, I can refer back to it so easily. I have everything in one place. It's basically like a little portfolio of your specific room or your house so that you always have it. Even swatches I put in there later on when I'm developing and buying things, so that everything starts to go together. Now you can go out and start to shop and start to decorate your space, start to make decisions on what decor you're going to be putting in and what functionally you're going to buy to fill that function. So if you're gonna be doing major renovations, obviously where you're gonna start with your decor is flooring, tiling, backsplashes, lighting. If you're starting with an empty room and you don't already have furniture that's going in there, I always like to start with the hardest thing to customize. Something that's really hard once you have your room to buy. That for me is always rugs. Rugs are really difficult to match your decor, and if you match your decor, it's usually something super neutral and solid because it has to be, because now you have all these colors in your space and it's harder to match that. The last thing that I do is something highly customizable, like paint, because that virtually any color. The only time I do paint early is when it's gonna be a bold color and it's gonna be a major part of the room design. If you already have furniture that's gonna go in this space, obviously that's your starting point, and you wanna make sure that you're noting, okay, your couch is a dark gray, what specific color gray? I like to cut a little swatch out of the back of a pillow or underneath the couch to have in my design book to know exactly what color gray. My last couch was a very distinct green undertone gray. It was super hard to match, so I always had to have a swatch with me. I couldn't just think about the color. So I hope that gives you guys a good starting point where to start. Make your design book and then start with what you already have. Next decor dilemma that we're going to talk about is making your home cohesive. Now, this is actually something that I have struggled with too, because I think you struggle more with it when you're designing your home in stages. It's not happening all at once. You're not building a new home and you're decorating every room at once. You're doing it over time. I did it over 4 years. You know how much your taste changes in 4 years, or things that you like just within a span of a year? You can quickly kind of divert a different direction or be inspired by different styles. So it's important to kind of consider all of your rooms when you're doing the next one and then the next one, so that they all really flow together and there's some cohesion with each of the rooms. So things that I think help with cohesion is, one, your interior design style. Whether that's one style, you may like warm industrial or mid-century modern or bohemian or farmhouse, or a blend of styles if you like Scandinavian bohemian or mid-century modern with a little bit of boho. The next one would be color palettes. So in my home, I've chosen 1 to 2 colors that you'll see throughout the whole house. One of them is black accents. Also, another color that I have throughout the everything is just a neutral palette, so it helps. So color's a big one. So pick a color that you really like, and it could show up in a very small accent. As long as it makes an appearance, it can help to create that cohesion. The next one is a furniture shape or a collection of shapes. So like if you really like mid-century modern furniture and you maybe have a mid-century modern coffee table or couch in your living room. Maybe you have a mid-century modern with peg legs in a buffet table in your dining room, or mid-century modern style bed in your bedroom. Furniture can help keep that kind of flow as well, so you can also consider that. And one thing I like to do is take one specific decor piece and kind of sprinkle it, or make a suggestion of that into every room. For instance, in my breakfast nook that I just did, I did this huge gallery wall of vintage gold frames. Then tied back into my living room, I have one mirror that also has that vintage gold frame. And then in my entryway, also have a vintage gold frame with nothing in it, just as kind of a textural piece on my bookcase. So it helped to tie all 3 of those rooms together as it's one complete space. So I'm very much a believer that every room in your house does not need to be exactly the same. They can all have their own character. They can all embody their own kind of like style and flair, but you want to think of them as siblings and not twins, so that they're not identical, but something about them just kind of like meshes together really well, and it's just kind of an overall vibe, so that will keep its cohesion without everything looking identical. So our next decor dilemma that we're going to talk about is defining your style. So I actually have an entire video and then video series on really doing that. And this is really up to you. What style do you like? So my defining your style video talks about all different types of styles. So I put in inspiration pictures. I tell you guys specifically, you know, what about that style is predominant and what I like about each style. And then I have a style guide series on my channel where I dive deep into each style and give you a kind of complete style guide. If you like Scandinavian or warm industrial, and we'll have many more to come, you would do this on your windows. You would have this for flooring. You would have this for furniture type. You would choose these color palettes. You would have this overall vibe. I go into it. So definitely check those out in the ones that we've done already, and then the defining your style video, because this is really about exploring just what you're going to like. Also, you could like multiple, like me. I like multiple styles. I like Nordic, Scandinavian, but also contemporary, like what's now, what's happening in today's interior design styles, and then also a little bit warm industrial. So I kind of marry those together in the best way possible. I'm also going to be coming out with another episode on like how to mix them up and how to make it look good. So that is coming very soon, but check out those resources. I feel like that is the first step in you guys kind of knowing what you like, is discovering what those styles are and what makes them up. So I'll leave all of that linked for you. The next decor dilemma that we're going to talk about is choosing a color palette for your home and picking paint colors. This can be hard, and this is something that I struggle with too. And sometimes I paint rooms twice or more times just to get the right paint color. So colors, I feel like when something has so many options and you're left to really just pick whatever you want, that in and of itself can be daunting and be hard. You know, sometimes you just need a guide. So where I like to start with picking a color palette is to refer back to my design book and pick one of my favorite inspiration pictures and dissect that picture and what colors make up that space. This will also push you out of your comfort zone in picking colors that you might not have done before, because you're actually seeing how all of the colors have harmony together. So find an inspiration picture that you like and pick it apart. Like for instance, this inspiration picture from my breakfast nook had a lot of like red undertoned wood, and then it was paired with black in the hutch that was standing in the room. The room was painted white, although I don't necessarily love white walls. I did notice in the picture that the curtains were a little bit tinged of a natural white, or not so pure white, so I picked inspiration from that. And then the light that hung in that dining room wasn't the red wood, it was almost like a darker, more ashy. So I liked that kind of color combo to the red wood. And then on the walls in the back of the room, you saw hints of the kind of vintage contemporary look with the gold frames. And then the flooring was really light, the rug was really light. So I pulled all of those colors from that inspiration picture and put them in my design book so that I could start to figure out how those colors could interpret into my room. The room came together inspired by the original space in terms of color, but then it doesn't look exactly the same. So colors can be interpretive but used from something else. Then paint color is usually something that I wait until kind of the middle of the process to select. I wait until I have some of my decor items physically. I wait until some of the room has started to come together, especially if I'm going neutral on the walls. So in this breakfast nook, I had the vintage frames. I had the art that my mom painted me. I knew the direction that I was going to take my pantry, and it was going to be a flat black color. I knew kind of the red wood that I was going to bring into the room, so I had a chair to kind of match that I was reusing in the space. Then I picked my paint color. I went and got swatches. I painted it on a piece of paper and put it up on the wall and lived with it like that for all day. So I saw that paint color at all times of day. That's the easiest way to pick paint, but it's also kind of a process. The next decor dilemma is how to stay on budget. So I love working within a budget because it forces me to be more creative. It forces me to DIY things that I had never DIY'd before, and just really get creative with how you're designing a space. It also means more thrift shopping, which is a budget-friendly option for bringing in furniture or decor pieces into your space. What I like to start by doing is just setting a realistic budget for a room. For my own home, a little more lenient with budget. For someone else's space, like I just recently did the bathroom, that had a hard budget between $300 and $500. And with that, since we wanted to do kind of a shiplap wall, instead of doing shiplap, actually buying the wood, which can get very costly, especially in a whole space, I did a DIY budget-friendly paint shiplap wall hack. So, and you can literally just use acrylic paint and masking tape even if you have it, or freehand it. So it was such an easy way to get that look without spending the money. After you have a realistic budget of what you want, write a list of all of the things that you're gonna have to buy, and keep in mind that larger items are gonna take up the majority of your budget. Like if you're doing your bedroom, your mattress is gonna be the most expensive thing that most likely you buy. In the bathroom that we did, the most expensive was the mirror and the vanity light, so I needed to save in the budget in other places. So things like couches, technology like TVs, mattresses, dining tables, those things are gonna eat up the majority of your decor budget. So if I'm gonna buy my couch, maybe I'll DIY my coffee table, or I'll DIY some wall art to go in the space to really keep the costs down. The next, we're having a lot of dilemmas. The next decor dilemma is finding a balance between function and beauty. And this is what we should consider in every room in our home, and it's definitely something that I consider in every room that I design. It can be tricky, but it's important to figure out how you're gonna live with the space and what you need from a space before you design it, so that you can make sure that you're actually getting pieces that are gonna go with your design and visually and aesthetically look the way you want them to be, but also have function. I like making lists, so I also like to make a list of what function a room serves. So let's say for your entryway, it may be where you need a coat rack to hang your coats in the winter or all the time. It's also where your husband throws his wallet and keys and stuff like that. So for that, you'll definitely need a coat rack in the space. You'll definitely need some kind of entryway table with either drawers to conceal his stuff or a bowl on top that he can just kind of throw his keys and his wallet in. Maybe your living room is where you relax and watch TV, but also where your kids play, and also like Kinsley, where Kinsley plays. So you'll need a TV, you relax and watch TV, you'll need that. You'll need your seating to kind of focal point around that TV so that everyone can see and point that direction so that they can see the TV. You'll also need maybe some storage for your kids' toys, or storage for your Kinsley toys. Or if you work at the coffee table like I sometimes do, you'll need like a cool floor pillow so it doesn't hurt you sitting on the floor at the coffee table. Then you can go out and start to look at pieces that fit those functions, but that are in your wood tone or your color palette or your style of furniture. And then it's more purposeful, and it's not like an afterthought, like, oh, I designed this whole space, but I actually need blah, blah, blah kind of thing. So thinking about all of those things up front can help to keep it looking pretty and looking beautiful, but also serve a function. Our last decor dilemma for this episode is gonna be how to arrange your furniture and how that differs between small and large spaces. So this decor dilemma is obviously gonna be so incredibly unique to your space, the way that you walk into the room, the shape, the size of your space, where your doors are. For instance, my living room was one of the most challenging rooms that I've ever had to design because it had a fixed fireplace, faux fireplace. It had windows on pretty much every wall that was empty, and then on one long wall was all doorways going to either closets or other parts of the house. It was a challenge, to say the least. So it's gonna be specific to you, but here are some of the things that you can do and a great way to start. So first I would start with where your focal point is in the room, whether it already exists or it's something that you're gonna make. So let's say, for instance, my living room had a focal point naturally of the faux fireplace. So a fireplace in a living room is probably the first place to start. That's naturally gonna be your focal point. If you don't have a focal point in a room, maybe it's going to be like your function is your living room is where you watch TV. Well, your TV is going to become your focal point in the room. Maybe your TV with a sideboard or a credenza underneath. And every room will naturally have its focal point, so you just want to discover and figure out what that is. A big one is whether to hug the walls or not to hug the walls with your furniture. Now in smaller spaces, and by hug the walls, I mean all of your furniture and your pieces are actually sitting against a wall. In smaller spaces, this is inevitable almost. You're pretty much always gonna have your furniture like that, but like in the room that I'm in right now, none of the furniture hugs the walls because it's actually a larger space. So the furniture is defining the area around the focal point. So it's creating a conversation as well. That's another tip. In this space, there's 2 couches and 2 chairs, and they're all facing each other like in a U shape. And then they're positioned around the coffee table, which is positioned in front of the focal point. Now, this space is very large and could actually be closer together. My mom was just talking about that the other day. She's like, I should move all of these pieces of furniture in towards the coffee table. Because a good rule of thumb is to have your coffee table about, let's say, 16, 17 inches from your seating. So that's kind of a good rule of thumb to where to position your furniture around your coffee table in your living room. More of a conversation type seating, so people could actually sit and be like, hi, how are you? Not, hi, how are you? In huge open spaces. But furniture is great in open spaces to define areas. So think about furniture like that when you're figuring out where they're gonna go. And sometimes you just need to move it around and figure out where it works. I move furniture around all the time. And in my living room, I have a small space, but I was able to not hug the walls completely and separate the entryway from the living room by having an L-shaped couch. So the L actually comes out into the space so that when we're in the entryway, it's one room, and then when you're in the living room, it's another. You just have to find the right layout that works for you by moving it around. Just move it around. Move it to that wall. See how you like it. Move it to that wall, but all centered around whatever focal point you're making in the room. Okay, so I hope that was so helpful. For our first episode, I feel like that was a good overview of everything that you kind of need to consider when especially starting a space, picking colors for a space, where to put your furniture, how to make it cohesive. I felt like that was a good starting point for us. And then I'm gonna be going back into the comments on this video as well as back on Instagram. And I did put it in a highlight for you guys because I feel like you'll kind of live with your space a little bit and remember like, oh, I'm struggling with that. And you'll remember, so you can come back to this video or on Instagram and let me know what that is so that I can incorporate it into a future episode where we're gonna get more specific. Leave your dilemmas in the comment box. Like this video if you liked it. Share it with a friend that maybe is designing their home. And if you are not already subscribed, you're not gonna wanna miss an episode or any more of my room makeovers or DIYs or thrift flips. So hit that subscribe button and the little bell notification so you know exactly when I upload. If you don't follow me on Instagram, I am at MaCenna Lee. We just hit 100,000 followers on Instagram too, and you guys, I have an epic giveaway coming, I promise. We hit 500,000 subscribers a while back on the main channel, which I'm so incredibly grateful. So we are gonna do something really cool. I promise. It is coming soon. I just want it to be perfect. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and Kinsley's here asleep in my lap. Oh. So we will see you guys next week and when we are back in Los Angeles. But if you don't follow my vlog channel, you should, because I am shopping for houses. I'm shopping for houses in Texas and I'm very excited. So head over to the vlog channel. I'm gonna be posting 2 vlogs while I'm here too. And it's more content. Bye guys. Kinsley is such a good flyer, no joke. I also talk about my flying experience if anyone wanted to know over on the vlog channel. Oh, coming soon. You'll see 2 vlogs coming very soon to the vlog channel. I've been talking for an hour and a half. I'm hungry. Bye guys.